Margaret Kuhlman of Soul Astrology. After ploughing through the depths of the Scorpio lake for a month, if not longer, we can all take joy and pleasure in a new moon at the beginning of Sagittarius, the dawning of light, climbing out of the turbulence and difficulty of our emotional reactions to circumstances, and allowing an attitude of positivity to dawn, where we consider new ideas as possibly manageable, where we consider that maybe things will work out okay, maybe we will be able to handle whatever comes. And why not? We are growing all the time, appropriately to the situation we find ourselves in. Anything that doesn't adapt in that way dies. And we are still here. So we must be changing, we must be growing. The important thing is letting go of how we have been. Otherwise it's like sitting in a box with the lid down. How can we expand? We might expand in some sense, but continually be brought back down, and there's a limit to how far that stretching can go. The sun and moon really are at the very beginning of Sagittarius, although in the picture it's a bit difficult to see that because the symbols are spread out for us to see. So they're on one point at the beginning of Sagittarius, with the blue line, the trine, leading to Jupiter at the end of Pisces, having had a little go at Aries and coming back to collect what is needed for the next part of the journey. Neptune is still there and will be for another couple of years. Jupiter is close enough to still be linked to that boundless quality that Neptune expresses in Pisces, taking us where words cannot describe, cannot convey the experience of being there. We do the best we can with poetry, with painting, acting, song, and movement, dance. The arts serve that direction, if we let them, and that direction is perhaps what we understand as spirit. The allness of things, expansion without boundary, no end, either in time or space, the continuous and everlasting moment that we inhabit all the time without being properly aware of it. So Sagittarius asks us to cast off our tethers to the need that we feel, to our sense of safety, what will and won't work as we imagine, to let go of all that and allow ourselves to expand out, float out into the inexpressible. This is perhaps what Jupiter is collecting from Pisces before going into Aries, and very quickly then into Taurus next year, busily dealing with the world and ourselves in it. So let's take this time. Jupiter is also connecting, as does Neptune, to Pluto. So any of our attempts to do this expansion can bring about the transformation we may be looking for. The other point up there in Sagittarius, with the other trine, is actually to Mercury and Venus, so close together, less than a degree apart. Mercury, our understanding and our communication. Venus, love, connectedness, friendship. So our thinking and our communication is likely to be about Chiron in Aries, the wound in our sense of self, our sense of being worthy to receive all that is actually possible, our sense of having been wounded. There can be a lot of resentment in there alongside the pain, and sharp protective measures against anything that threatens the same again, which is another reason why it's important to let go of what has passed. The spirit never repeats itself. Creation is not about repetition. It's continually unfolding and evolving in that aspect of it where there is movement. So allow the new ideas and the love that we feel for each other, allow that to let us help each other along, however uncertain and wobbly we may feel. Enjoy, celebrate what you love, and there is immense healing possible. Love heals all. The other trine aspect is Saturn and Mars. Mars in Gemini still, retrograding until early January next year, and therefore combing back through communications that have been not so much mentally, but through the feelings that those communications may have generated. Questing, I think, also for the truth. What was true that I was told, and what was false? And Saturn, keeping steadily forwards in Aquarius for the good of humanity, the real good of humanity. With the square, the red line from Mars to Neptune, as a pattern for the month, suggests that we need still to be on the lookout for misunderstandings. So check and double check. Never assume that what you suddenly felt about what someone was saying was actually an accurate, proper response, not just a reaction, or that they actually meant to put across what you got. Check it. There is a super sensitivity with that square. As Mars represents solar plexus in the body, we're all liable to be feeling waves of emotion again, like we have done in recent years. The whole of humanity wafting through emotional reactions and feeling them at the stomach. A sure way of dealing with that I have found is to ask my beloved unseen companions to take away from me whatever isn't mine. I'm happy to deal with my own reaction patterns and habits, but there is no virtue in trying to deal with other people's. It doesn't work for them. They need to build up their own ability, and it makes it very difficult for the one who's doing the feeling here. Saturn has finally finished that square with Uranus. It's still sort of within an orb of effectiveness, as they would say, just 3 degrees away from the exactness, but it's on the move. And so the difficulty, the lurching between one thing and another that may have been going on for us all, the difficulty we may have had in knowing what to let go, gradually subsides, and I think it all becomes much clearer what needs to go and what is really helpful and what is good for humanity and what is not actually. Although we are having this lovely lift in Sagittarius, we don't leave Scorpio completely because the South Node is still there. It remains there going steadily backwards through the sign, because that's what the nodes do, until it reaches Libra, and until the North Node reaches Aries. But just at this moment, we are at the beginning of a month where we can focus more on celebrating what is here, letting things be as they are, quite wonderful in their difference. Having our preferences, yes, but not judging that which we don't prefer. At the full moon, I think we get to grips with this whole thing a little more, a little clearer perhaps as to how to do this celebration and how to move forward. Because the sun and moon both connect harmoniously with Saturn. The moon has joined Mars, so there will be a lot of energy in what is said. Mercury, who rules Gemini, is up there in Capricorn, so our thinking is in harmony with the Saturn. It's like, yes, okay, enough of being totally playful and off the planet, enough of all these wonderful new ideas. Now what is going to work? And Venus still close enough to Mercury that the love of the expanded view, the love of spirit, keeps Mercury company as it moves through the work of Capricorn, as we try to focus on what actually does work in our lives and how we are going to organise things and what arrangements we do need to make and fix and communicate. As we get on with that, there is still the lightness there, if we remember it. Squaring Jupiter, there could be a possibility of going over the top with things, planning too much, making the world, yes, if we do it like this and like this, we could get rid of all pain, all war. That would be lovely. But on a practical level, that's not quite how it works. What actually works is the spirit. The spirit is all of it, and it is unfolding as is appropriate. What we see of that is what we choose to focus on. And there is always a million amount more than we could ever actually focus on. So our focus is actually pretty narrow. And we can choose it through choosing first our attitude. So hopefully the first half of this month is about aligning ourselves with an attitude that understands spirit as being it all, so that we can carry that forward and our life changes naturally. When we start to focus on life's necessities again, holding that attitude, we will see how it works. This is how changes are made in the physical world. The more of us who do it, the more it is a wave that goes through humanity. We could be creating this month a wave of positivity and remembrance of beauty, the magnificence of humanity as a life wave, and its expansion to spirit. If we can make a wave like that through humanity, everything will feel different. So let us enjoy Sagittarius while we have the focus on it. And what a focus! Sun, Moon, Mercury and Venus. And all trining Jupiter and Chiron. Maybe the healing of ourselves. We are not miserable sinners. We are the manifestation of the Spirit. How can that be bad? The being of everyone is spirit. What we do is something else. And the more we can behave, act, think, feel in alignment with the spirit that we are, the more we become the human that is meant for the age of Aquarius. Thank you. We are together, the human family, and all being, life as one. Celebrate life, being, and family with joy, and creation is fulfilled.